Hello, and thank you for joining me for Reflection Connection today. On April 9th, the Church recognizes the life and work of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian. At the age of 25, Bonhoeffer became a lecturer in systematic theology at the University of Berlin, and in 1933, with Hitler's rise to power, Bonhoeffer became a leading spokesperson for the Confessing Church, a resistance movement against the Nazis. He was arrested in 1943, and he was linked to a failed attempt on Hitler's life and later sent to Buchenwald, the concentration camp, and then later to Schönberg prison. After leading a worship service on April 8, 1945, he was taken away to be hanged. His last words as he left were, "This is the end, but for me, the beginning of life." And a quote from his large work, The Cost of Discipleship. "Costly grace is the gospel which must be sought again and again and again, the gift which must be asked for, the door at which a person must knock. Such grace is costly because it calls us to follow, and it is grace because it calls us to follow Jesus Christ. It is costly because it costs a man his life, and it is grace because it gives a man the only true life. It is costly because it condemns sin, and grace because it justifies the sinner. Above all, it is costly because it cost God the life of his Son. Ye were bought at a price, and what has cost God much cannot be cheap for us. Above all, it is grace because God did not reckon his Son too dear a price to pay for our life, but delivered him up for us. Costly grace is the incarnation of God." A reflection today comes from a text written by Bonhoeffer, which is actually a hymn text in our hymnal under the title By Gracious Powers, and it was translated by Fred Pratt Green. And I'd like to share this with you all today as a meditation and a prayer and reflection. By gracious powers so wonderfully sheltered and confidently waiting, come what may, we know that God is with us night and morning and never fails to greet us each new day. Yet is this heart by its old foe tormented? Still evil days bring burdens hard to bear. Oh, give our frightened souls the sure salvation for which, O Lord, you taught us to prepare. And when this cup you give is filled to brimming with bitter suffering, hard to understand, we take it thankfully and without trembling out of so good and so beloved a hand. Yet when again in this same world you give us the joy we had, the brightness of your Son, we shall remember all the days we lived through, and our whole life shall then be yours alone. By gracious powers so faithfully protected, so quietly, so wonderfully near, we live each day in hope, with you beside us, and go with you through every coming year. May God give you peace and grace this day. Amen.